I just real I just realized that in Danish slang, we actually call, like, there's a slang word for like hot chicks that we call a sild, which is a herring. But why would we? I've never actually thought about how weird that is. But like, we have a slang term with like, oh, look at that hot, not herring, but in Danish we're like, then prøv lige tjek den der sild der, and like, that's so weird now that I think about it. Why would we call a beautiful lady, women, whatever you want? Why would we relate to her? I guess Danish people in all, like in previous times, really liked their herrings, but I guess they really like their herrings.
Oh, look at that hot piece of fish!
Like, look at that! Look at that herring over there. All the things I would do to that herring. What up, guys? ThePartyKnife here, the Danish dagger of dynamite. Or something. Anyways, before we get started, just thought really quickly that a couple of caveats here now. I was originally planning to do a Carillion cosmetic showcase and tier list. But as always, I vastly underestimated just how long it takes to not just record and showcase all the cosmetics, but cut out every individual icon, place it in its own layer, correlate that to both a name, a price of the cosmetic, or however you obtain it, and like so many of them look alike. So it was goddamn awfully confusing. And I thought I would be finished with this video already yesterday, but that was just not happening, right? And then I almost wasn't gonna finish today, which is why instead of doing a Carillion, I had to cut it down to a Waystalker. Now, I should be able to finish both the Handmaiden and the Shade, one tomorrow, one in Monday. So, because I worked on a combined of all three, which would have also been pretty long, to be fair. I just wanted to mention that. It's not because I'm trying to milk it. I go through class by class. It is seriously a lot more work than it might look like. So I just thought I'd mention that. Also, you know these color purple? You know purple? You heard about this? You seen this? Now, I may be a little bit colorblind, okay? When I reference the quality of the item, the cosmetic item, you know, going from like basic, rare, epic, and then there's one I've called Challenger, which I guess is the purple one. Now, if this looks a little bit pink, don't worry, okay, it's not my fault, okay? Don't make fun of me, okay? I have a handicap, okay? I am muy retardado. No, I'm a little bit red-green colorblind, so I think I screwed, you know, on second thought when I looked back and I was like, that actually looks a little bit more pink than it looks purple. Don't know how I managed to screw that up. But anyways, let's move on to the actual cosmetic showcase of the Waywatcher. Up first, we got the Waywatcher, which is the standard basic skin for the Waystalker, and likely the first skin that 90% of all people who ever played this game used for their first 367 games. Cause once you've had a taste of that sweet, sweet health region, it's hard to go back. Moving on, we got the Champion of 𝒮𝔴𝔞𝔤𝔢𝔯𝒮𝔮𝔞𝔥. Now, that's another basic hero skin, but it's only obtainable by owning Vermintide 1 on the same Steam account that you are playing on. So unfortunately, there is no other way to obtain this skin, but thankfully for me, very early on in the game, I managed to carry someone who then gave me a free key to Vermintide 1 just so I could have this skin. So shout out to him, I guess. Moving on, we got the Spirit Ward of 𝒮𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄𝔄 a pretty decent discount skin, I guess. Moving on, we got the Bleak Cloak of 𝒮𝔲𝔞𝔤𝔤𝔢𝔯𝒮𝒮𝔮𝔲𝔞, and that's an epic hero skin from Lona's Imperium, which costs 365 shillings. Moving on, we got Helmgard Sentinel, which is one of the 5 white skins you obtain access to by purchasing the collector's edition, which I think is also why it costs 50 shillings. Up next, we got the Amir Beaststalker. Now, the only way to obtain this is by finishing all 13 Helmgard maps on champion difficulty or higher as the Waystalker. Up next, we got the Modrin Nightstalker, which also requires you to beat all 13 Helmgard maps as the Waystalker, but this time on legend difficulty or higher. Up last, we got the Frostwatcher of 𝒮𝔮𝔄𝒻𝔄𝒻. Now, this is a legendary hero skin which costs 50 shillings in Lona's Imperium. Now, I'm not exactly sure why it costs 50 shillings. My best guess is that it requires one of the DLCs in order to obtain, because I seem to recall the skin coming out around that time. Now, since I didn't really have a way to fact check this, you'll have to make do. Now, first up, of course, we got the Waywatcher standard hero skin. That's obviously D tier, since, you know, we all have it, it's not that special. Then we got the Champion of 𝒮𝔴𝔞𝔤𝔢𝔯𝔮𝔮𝔮, which I think is both very unique. The only downside to the skin is that it doesn't allow you to apply a hat. I mean, you can apply it, but it doesn't do anything. Then we got the Spirit Ward of 𝒮𝔴𝔞𝔤𝔢𝔯𝔮𝔮𝔮, which I'm not a huge fan, don't think it's that amazing. Then we got the Helmgard Sentinel, which is one of my favorites, which is why I've placed that as an A tier. Then we got a B tier, if I recall correctly, the Bleak Cloak of 𝒮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮, which is an alright looking skin. It's, you know, it's not that amazing, but it at least changes the color scheme a bit. Then we got Amir Beaststalker, which I don't like. I think there's too much brown, okay? Not a huge fan of brown. And last but not least, we got the Modrin Nightstalker, which again is up there as my favorite skin, and probably the skin I use the most, along with the Helmgard Sentinel. And lastly, we have the Frostwatcher of 𝒮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮, which I think is a decent and good looking skin, but the color scheme doesn't really fit that well to any of the hats. So yeah. Moving on to hats. First up, we got the standard basic Stalker's hood, which everyone owns already, so we're not going to talk too much about that. Moving on, we got the Ambusher's hood, which is a green rarity, or, you know, rare, which you can purchase in Lonas Imperium for 165 shillings. Looks pretty good, actually, for the price. Moving on, we got Whisperer's Geese, also a rare cosmetic, Lonas Imperium for 165 shillings. But I'm not a huge fan. It looks a bit weird. But that's just me. Dracilia's Mask, a rare headgear cosmetic. Lonas Imperium for 365 shillings. And I think the color scheme is horrible. Then we got the Branch Horn, another rare cosmetic, which is kind of weird considering it costs 860 shillings. And it's essentially identical to one of the previous masks, but with a bit of extra branches, I guess. Mask of the Sentinel. This is a rare headgear cosmetic that is unobtainable outside the modded realm, so for that reason it doesn't really have a price, and the only way to use it is with a mod. I think they've just taken sort of the basic like the basic mask from Shade and changed the color scheme. At least that's my best guess. Moving on, we got the Windrush Crest, which looks pretty good if you ask me, an epic headgear cosmetic, and it costs only 330 shillings, which is a pretty reasonable price, I would say, considering it looks a lot more expensive and actually fits really well with Modrin's Nightstalker gear. Moving on, we got the Living Leaf Crown, which is another epic headgear cosmetic, which costs 355 shillings in Lonas Imperium. I think it looks pretty good, actually. It has a bit of branches on top of what is kind of a shade mask, I guess, but with a bit more skin shown around the eyes. But all in all, I think it looks pretty good, pretty reasonable. Which brings us to our first challenger headgear cosmetic, which is Bark Shield Mask. Now, the only way to obtain this is to complete the Okri challenge for 100 wins on champion and above, playing as the Waystalker. So for that reason, it takes a bit of work to get this one. Next up, we got Gladewatcher's Half Mask, another challenger headgear, which you can obtain simply by reaching level 17 on Carillion. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the color scheme. I think it looks a little bit weird, but you know, I'm not gonna judge a person by his choice of hat. Next up, we got the Obese Megalodon, a challenger headgear cosmetic, and I'm afraid you can't really obtain this unless you already have it, since you had to play during the Fat Shark Anniversary event in order to obtain it. So, too bad. Next up, we got the aspect of a Danhu, or as I like to call it, Old Woman Waystalker, because, I don't know, it looks like an old woman's haircut to me. Anyways, this one costs €399 at least in the Steam Workshop, and that's the only way to obtain it. Up next, we got the Horns of 𝒮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮𝔮 I think it looks pretty good. I like what they've done with it, and I think Fatjar could add it to the game. Like, I think it's pretty good looking. Moving on to the legendary headgear cosmetics, we have Evercrown, which costs 835 shillings in Loner's Imperium. And if you ask me, it's one of the better looking hats for the Waystalker, although it is a little bit expensive. Moving on, we got the Horns of Kurnos. Now, this is probably my favorite Waystalker helmet. It costs 920 shillings, and it's one of the original cosmetics that were in the game when it was released, and pretty much the one you wanted to get for the Waystalker. Lastly, we got Kurnor's Herald. Another legendary headgear cosmetic that costs 50 shillings in Lonus Imperium, which seems to be kind of strange, but that was the price when I logged in on another account, so I'm not entirely sure why, but let me know if you know what's up. All in all, I think it looks pretty good. Okay, I'm just kidding. What's up? Let's put all the hats in a tier list. And we're going to go through them pretty quickly because, you know, Stalker's hood right there, D tier. Ambush's hood, really good, especially for the price. That's why it's a B tier. Whisperer's geese, not a fan. It's cheap, but it's not really that great either. Living Leaf Crown, I like it. It's good, a bit expensive, but it's good. Windrush Crest, looks absolutely amazing. That's an A tier. Bark Shield Mask, hard to get. Not the best looking, but I appreciate it. Glade Watcher's Half Mask, nah, that's just horrible, man. Not a fan, okay? Aspect of a Danhu, I like it. It's unique. It looks kind of funny, but still, that's a good thing. Mask of the Sentinel, that doesn't really apply, so it's a C tier. Not a huge fan. Obese Megalodon, that's awesome. It's a shark hat. Sharks are always great. 𝒮𝔴𝔞𝔤𝔢𝔯𝒮𝔮𝔲𝔞𝔡, don't like the color scheme. It's brown. That's the problem it has. Don't ever let anyone know I'm wasting your time. Evercrown looks amazing, is pretty expensive, but nonetheless looks good, right? So I think that's probably one of the best looking skins for sure. Branch Horn, you know, it's all right. You know, I was between B and A, but nah, it's a B tier. Horns of Kurnos. Now that's my favorite, if I'm being honest. That's the one I used to use all the time before the pay cosmetics came out. And then we got a Kurnos Herald. Now that is, I like it almost as much as the previous one. Almost, but it's not as good, but it's close. And those were like the two original cosmetics that you wanted. And then we got the Horns of Drakira. Now, the reason it has the exact same icon as my favorite one, is because it doesn't have an icon. And I didn't want to, you know, if I'm going to use the same icon twice, it might as well be an icon that sort of references it rather than just the empty, you know, I guess that's a Saltspire hat. But anyways, this is my overall cosmetic tier list for the Waystalker. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As I said, we have both the Handmaiden and Shade coming out really soon. I'll make no promise for tomorrow, but I think it's going to come out tomorrow. If not, we both have a Shade and a Battle Wizard quick guide coming out as well. You know, those guides that aren't quick at all, and everyone keeps referencing in the comments that, but ThePartyKnife, this is like 50 videos long, why do you call it a quick guide? The initial guide part is short, okay? So the idea there is that there's like a 10-minute video-ish that contains the guide with the build and the basics, and then the rest of the 40 minutes of commentary of gameplay is sort of a more in-depth look into how to play the hero that some of you will want, some of you may not. So that's why they're called quick build guides or quick guides, and that's the idea behind that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, I love you guys. Stay awesome. Peace out.